Welcome to Live DAF, your online DAF Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem, welcome back to today's DAF, GITTEN Nunches. We begin 10 lines from the top of the Amud. B'nei Tzion hayikarim, hamasulaim bapos. A pasuk in Eicha describing the beauty, praising the residents of Tzion, of Yerushalayim, prior to the Churban Beis Hamikdash. Hamasulaim bapos. What does that mean? My masulaim bapos. Ilaim doesn't mean to have a mechapi. But Pisa, they were dressed in Pisa. Puz. Pisa is a very precious type of gold, and they would be adorned. They would wear jewelry of Puz. Is that so? Va'amri dvei Rabbi Shila. So we're basically praising the Bnei Yerushalayim because of their possessions, because they possessed an abundance of Puz, which was plentiful in Yerushalayim. But it's not so. Va'amri dvei Rabbi Shila, in the Beis Medrash of Rabbi Shila, they would say that Tarti Maskali, there were two measures. Isteri Pisa. So Isteri are coins of this Pisa gold. Two Maskali, two coins, two mishkalos, two weights, two amounts basically of golden coins. Nachos ba'alma came into the world. Chada b'Rome, v'chada b'kuli alma. One amount is to be found in Rome, and an equal amount is dispersed throughout the entire world, which indicates that in Rome they had more of this material than anywhere in the world. So how can we praise Yerushalayim on account of the Puz metals found there? Rather, says the Gemara, Elo shahayu meganin asa Puz b'yafyan. The Bnei Tzion was so beautiful. Musulaim, says Rashi, is lashon soilu l'roichev. That it describes their shevach, their praise, that they were more praiseworthy than Puz. They were megane es a Puz b'yafyan. They would negate the beauty of this Puz because they were way more beautiful, and Puz was nothing compared to the beauty of Bnei Yerushalayim. Says the Gemara, Mi'ikara, initially, here we're describing the beauty of Bnei Yisrael. So initially, before the Churban, Chashiva d'Raimai, the important people in Rome, Habu Nakti, Bel Yoina du Gushpanka. In order if they would want to have beautiful children, they would take the signets and appear at the beautiful figures in their signets, and then engage with their wives, so that their wives would peer at these images and they would bear children likewise. But going forward, after the Churban, once they captured the beautiful children of Klal Yisrael, beautiful Bnei Tzion, Maisu Bnei Yisrael, they would take the people of Yerushalayim, Va'asri Bikari de Purayu, and they would tie them up to the legs of their beds, where they would engage with their wives, and Meshamshi, and there they would engage with their wives, opposite these forms, opposite the captives of Yisrael, in order to bear children like them. One Yid turned to his friend, this terrible anguish that we're going through now, this terrible tzara, this degradation that we're being put through. What does it say in the Torah? Where is it hinted in the Torah? This will be, amongst the tzaras that we will experience. Amar lei. So he says, there's a pasuk about it. Gam kol choli v'kol maka shaloi kosa b'sefer HaTorah zois. The Torah itself indicates that there are things which are beyond what is written in the Torah, indicating that there are things really degrading and embarrassing, such as what we're going through now. Omar, so his friend responded, Kam Amar chikna biduchta plan. I'm learning Chumash myself. Where am I in terms of how far am I away from that pasuk that you just quoted? Amarle Ingat, he said just a little bit. Pusta Opalga, page and a half. Amarle, he says, if I would have gotten to that place, I wouldn't have needed your help. I would have seen it myself. Amar Vidamar Shmuel, Mishum Rabban Shim Gamliel. What does the pasuk mean when it says Eini Oidelu Lenafshi Mikol B'nais Iri? So Rabbi Shimon Gamliel is indicating that he was the sole survivor of all the children of his city, the great city of Beitar. It says the Gemara Arba Meis Batik Nesiyos Hayibekrach Beitar. In fact, there were 400 shuls in Beitar, v'chalachas v'achas, and in each one Hayuba Arba Meis Mlam Tinekes. Each one featured 400 Rebbe's teaching children. And each one of these Rebbe's had 400 youngsters teaching, learning. Initially, when the enemy arrived, the children would poke them with their sticks. But when the enemy overpowered them, and conquered them, was victorious over the residents of Beitar, Korchem b'Sefreim v'Tzisim b'Eish, they wrapped these children in their Sfarim and they put them on fire. Tanu Rabbanim. Ma'aseh Rabbi Shua ben Chananya, there was a story involving Rabbi Shua she'alach l'krach Gadoil she'b'Romi, who visited this large city in Rome. Amrulai, they told him, Tinak echad yesh b'beis ha'asurim, there is a child, a youngster, inside prison, Yefei einayim v'toiv v'roi, good-looking child, beautiful eyes, ukvitzoisav, and his hair, sturois like taltalim, are arranged in beautiful locks. Halach v'amad al pesach beis ha'asurim. So Rabbi Shua went to the prison and is standing at the doorway, trying to figure out what this child's all about. Amar, so he began by reading a pasuk. Mi nasan l'meshisa Yaakov. So Rabbi Shua asks, using the words of the pasuk, who cast so much destruction on the Jewish people? Yisrael abused them and allowed the Yisrael to be looted. So this was really half the pasuk, and he said it in a question form, hoping that the child will respond in some way. Anna isetinek. Sure enough, the child responds with the second part of that pasuk v'amar. It's all Hashem's doing because of our misbehavior. V'amar halei Hashem zuchatanu loy v'loy avu b'drachav halayich, because we didn't go in his ways. V'loy shama b'teirasai, we didn't listen to his Torah. Amar Rabbi Shua was impressed. He says, Muftachani boy, I'm guaranteed in this boy Shemayra Harabi Yisrael, he's going to end up being a leader, a posek in Klal Yisrael. Ha'avoida, a lashon of shvua, I swear, she'eni zaz mikan, I'm not leaving this place. I'm going to redeem him for any amount that they ask me. Amru, in fact, that's what happened. He didn't leave the area until he paid the full ransom. And in fact, his prophecy came true. Not much time passed. In fact, his child became a leader, a posek hira'ah. And who was he? Rabbi Shmuel ben Elisha, the famous Kohen Gadol. Amar Rabbi Damarav. Ma'aseh, there was a story, in fact, with his own children. Bivnei Yubita, Rabbi Shmuel ben Elisha, who was, of course, the Kohen Gadol. His own children went into captivity. Shenishbel Shnei Adonim. So his son was captured by one Roman and his daughter by the other. After some time, so both masters happened to encounter each other. They met at a certain place. Zaimer, so they were boasting. Zaimer, one of them was boasting, Yeshli Eved, oh, I have some slave, wow, most beautiful slave. Most beautiful in the entire world. Zaimer, and the other fellow says, Yeshli Shivcha, likewise, I have a maid servant, most beautiful. Okay, they decided, we'll make a match and split the offspring. Bayu ben Asim Zelazeh will marry them off to each other, and we'll split the offspring. They inserted them into a room, so it's pitch dark in there. The boy, son of Rishmal Elisha Kohen Gadol, is sitting on one corner, and she's sitting in the other corner, the opposite corner of the room. and they refused to budge. Look, I come from big Kohanim Gedolim. It is below my dignity. I'm not allowed to marry a Shifcha. Eser Shifcha? No way, I can't marry a Shifcha. And his sister on the other side of the room is saying the same thing. Ani Kohanes, Bas Kahanim Gedolim. I'm a Kohanes, daughter of Kahanim Gedolim, and Nasil Eved. How could I even entertain the notion of marrying an Eved? Ubacha Kol Alayla, and they were crying the entire night about their fate and the situation that they were put into. Kimish Olam the Shachar. As soon as daytime arrives and it gets light in the room, they recognize each other, brother, sister, and they fell on each other and started crying until they passed away. I cry and I cry. A reference to the brother and sister who cried and cried until they passed away. There was a story about a certain woman, a Jewish woman, Safnas Bas Peniel Shma, who was called Safnas Bas Peniel. Why? Safnas is because Shakoil, Seifan B'Yafya. Everybody would peer at her beauty. Bas Peniel, why was she called Bas Peniel? She was a daughter of a Kohen Gadol, Bito Shel Kohen Gadol, and he was called Peniel. Kohen Gadol is referred to as Peniel because he goes Lifnim. He goes to the inner chambers of the Beis Hamikdash. Kohen Gadol Shemish was served Lifnai Lifnim. This unfortunate woman ended up in the hands of a goyish, and this Alba Shavoy Kalayla, whole night the captor was abusing her Machar. The next morning, Hilbisha Shebachalukim, he dresses her with 7 robes, by Yitziel and Moicher, and takes her out to sell her as a maidservant. A very, very ugly man shows up, a potential customer. Amarla, he tells the seller, show me your beauty. Amarla, he tells him, Reika, empty head. If you want something good, likach. If you want something, a nice woman, buy her. I promise you, the biggest yoifi you can find anywhere. Amarla, so the customer says, Afal Bikain, I insist, I want to see myself. So he undressed her 6 of the 7. Vishvi karasai, when it came to the 7th, the closest to herself, he tore it. But then she dropped down to the floor, to the dirt. She turns to Hashem, if you're not protecting our honor, at least protect your honor. On her, Yirmiyah lamented the pasuk Basami Chigri Sak, because she dirtied herself in the Efer. Evil Yachad Asilach Mispetam Reirim, a time for lamenting and crying. Suddenly the bandit comes on us, affecting us. Who's us? It doesn't say Alayach, just on you, the woman. It wasn't just an attack on the woman, an affront to the woman. Ella Aleinu, the pasuk refers to you and me, in the name of Hashem, Kaviyachal, so to speak. Alayv Alayich, Ba'ashoideid, he attacked you and me together, my honor and yours. Amar Vida Marab Maidach Siv. What does the pasuk in Micha mean when it says Va'ashku Geveru Beisev Ish V'Nachalasei? So they totally disenfranchised the person. He lost his house, his family, everything. What exactly? What story, what incident is referenced in this pasuk? Another very unfortunate incident in the time of the Churban Beis Hamikdash, where a person was totally disenfranchised, totally robbed from everything dear to him. It was an evil, wicked fellow, a student of a teacher, of a carpentry teacher. So he set his eyes on his master's, on his teacher's wife. He desired her. V'shulya de Nagri Hava. So he was a student of a Shulya de Nagri, a carpentry teacher. Okay, so that was his teacher, and he was a student. Hamachas. It so happens that one time, Hutzrach Rabbi Lilvais, his teacher needed to borrow some money. Amar Lahi, so the student had the available funds. He tells his teacher, Shager Ishtacha Etzli. You know what? When you get a chance, send your wife over. Velvena, I'll give her the money as a loan. Shiger Ishta Etzli. So he did as instructed. He sent his wife to pick up the money. She stayed with him 3 days. 3 days later, the teacher's wondering what happened to his wife. He comes looking for her. So he comes to the student's house. And he asks him, where's my wife that I sent to you? He says, what do you mean? I sent her right back. As soon as I gave her the money, I sent her back. But I heard that she went through a terrible experience on the way back home. the youngsters, abused her and she cooperated with them. Amar loy, so the husband tells the student, Ma essa, give me some advice. Well, what am I supposed to do now? Amar loy, he tells him, look, I only have one thing to tell you. You want to listen to my advice? Here it is. Gersha, divorce her. What do you need her for? She's not being loyal to you. Amar loy, she says, but I have a problem. Ksavasa meruba. The amount that I committed to her and the ksuba is very great. It's too much for me to bear. I can't afford it. So I can't divorce her. Amar loy, she says, no problem. I'll take care of it for you. Ani alvecha. I'll lend you the money for the ksuba, v'tein ksavasa, and you can divorce her and give her the ksuba, no problem. Amar zevigirsha. So the husband divorced her through borrowing the money from a student. An evil student went and married this Isha. Now, the former husband owed him the money. Come payday, come due date, he had no money to pay him back. So the student tells the teacher, okay, work for me instead. Be my slave, work for me instead of paying me the funds. Unbelievable. The student and his new wife was sitting and enjoying, eating and drinking, and he was serving them, her former husband, and he felt terrible. And tears were trickling down from his eyes, and dripping into their glasses as he was serving them. And this was the straw that broke the camel's back. Hashem decreed that the Beis HaMikdash will be destroyed. Some say it was on account of a different story. 2 wicks drawing from one lamp. Rashi says a reference to 2 men getting involved with one woman, with a married woman. On account of that Avera, that brought about the Churban Beis HaMikdash. Shibana Beis HaMikdash Mer B'Meinu. Continues the Gemara, Lokach when I say Kriken. Sikrikin, as we learned in the Mishnah, means so karka zubanicheni. It's a combined word. A fellow's life was being threatened, and by the guy, he says, look, take this land instead. So the Mishnah says, well, when things are really violent, it was a time of desperation, time of milchama, then in fact, it's considered a legal transfer of ownership. But otherwise, even if a farmer is being forced off his land, he's not really willingly giving it away, and he plans on utilizing all his legal means, to reacquire his karka. And therefore, if another yid goes and chooses to buy that land off the robber, off the sikrikin, it's not a valid deal, unless he first approaches the owner, the true owner, and says, look, I'd like to buy your land. You're anyways not using it. It's sitting in the other person's possession. And the owner says, okay, let's make a deal. He sells it to him. Then the buyer goes to the sikrikin, to the robber, and confirms the deal, pays him whatever it is, and takes it. Then it works. But if it's done in the reverse, let's say we have the owner, let's call him Chaim, owned the field. And now the guy forced him off the field, and Ruvain, a new potential buyer, walks over to the Sikrikin, buys it off him, of course at a discount, because Sikrikin is willing to give it away cheap. He buys it from him, and then he returns to Chaim and says, you know what, I'd like to confirm that deal. Would you be okay going along with it? Sure. Doesn't work. You know why? Because perhaps he's being blackmailed, he's being pressured. He's afraid to oppose the Sikrikin, lest he come attack him. So the fact that he's going along with it is no indication that he's really interested in confirming the deal. That's the point of the Gemara now. Amar Rav Leishonu. When do we say that it doesn't work? That the mekach is batel. Elo the Amar Leilech chazek v'kni. It's only when Mechayim, the owner, tells Reuven, the fellow who bought from the Sikrikin, look, go ahead and lech chazek v'kni. Take the field, gesund to hate, make your chazaka, use it. Then we say it's meaningless, because perhaps, as Rashi explains, perhaps he still plans on getting it back. Al b'shtar kana. But if the former owner, Chaim, actually writes a shtar to formally record this transfer of ownership to Reuven, Kana. Reuven is a new owner, because he wouldn't go to that extent to write him a shtar unless he really is okay with this whole deal. Even with a shtar, it doesn't mean anything. Only time that has any meaning is if Chaim adds the warranty wording, the warranty clause into the shtar. I'm backing up the sale, I'm guaranteeing it. If anything happens, I'll compensate you. That's going a bit far. And that is truly indicative of the fact that Chaim is fully consensual to this deal. Tanakh say the Shmuel, we seem to have a brisa which supports Shmuel, that shtar enough is not sufficient. Shtar alone is not sufficient. You need achrayis. This is another example which the Mishnah mentioned as well. So we have a field which is specifically designated and committed to the wife, a husband and wife, married husband and wife. So you have a field which is dedicated to the ksuba payout, which is committed to the ksuba payout. Basically means she can draw from this field if she needs to. And somebody decided to buy the field off the husband. So it depends. If he first purchased it from the Isha and then he went to the husband, she's not under any pressure. She did it by her own volition. Right? It's a valid deal. But in the reverse, it doesn't work. If he first purchased it from the husband and then he went to the wife and said, by the way, your husband already sold me the field. Are you okay with it? Maybe she's trying to be a good wife and cooperate. It's not a valid deal. Unless she went all out to formalize the sale. When she writes achrayis, that is indicative of her interest to have this thing transferred to the new buyer. That's right to Shmuel. Shtar alone is not enough unless it has achrayis to indicate his true intention. Name to the Rav. So perhaps this brisa contradicts Rav, who holds that shtar is sufficient. No, Amalach Rav will tell you my achrayis. Nami shtar, when it says achrayis, that's all it means. It means a regular shtar, indicating his consent, even without the words achrayis, even without actually backing up the deal. If anything happens, I'm compensating you for it. You don't need that achrayis. Shtar alone is enough. And why does the brisa relate to a simple shtar by calling it achrayis? Because that guarantees that I can't complain about it. I can't come after you and say, well, the whole thing was just a show. The fact that I went and I wrote your shtar indicates that I'm confirming the deal. Continues the Gemara. Tanu Rabbana, we learned in the brisa. So, as we mentioned, at times, Reuven's purchase of this field from the Sekrikin is a valid deal. For instance, if the owner, we call him Chaim, he confirmed the deal, or in a case where he's disinterested in buying off the field, or as the Mishnah concluded in the times of Rabbi HaKadosh, they established a new system. It's a 12-month window. So past 12 months, in the hands of the Sekrikun, in which the owner didn't make a move, we allow anybody to purchase that field. But again, the Mishnah says it only works provided you're being fair. You have to go and give 25% back to the owner, to Chaim. Presumably the robber sold it at a discount since he got it for free. So that money that you've saved, be fair to the owner and reimburse him for that amount. Suppose this fellow Reuven buys the field off the Sekrikun in a valid manner and sits there for 3 years, farming the field as a farmer does, consuming the produce with the former owner's full awareness that he's there. And the halacha is, we learned this in Bava Basra, once you have 3 years on that property, it's called a chazaka, cheskas shalosh shanim. So even if you have no document to prove anything, well, how long am I going to keep my receipts? I'm here 3 years and not a boo from you. I no longer have to prove my case. So in this case, he wouldn't have to prove that he, in fact, reimbursed the owner with that 25%. So lokach menasek kriken ve'achla shaloshan v'fnei balim v'chazo machar la'achar, and then Reuven sells it to another person, sells it off to Shimon. Ein le'balim al lekeach sheni klum. the former owner, Chaim, can come challenge Shimon. What happened to my 25%? It was never looked after. I deserve the field back. He can't do that. Because once there was a chazaka of shalish shanim without any complaints from anybody, presumably things were followed properly, procedure was done, and everybody was looked after. Asks the Gemara, Heichi dami. What exactly is the response? What is the other person saying to the owner? Is he responding by saying, Minach Zavna? Shimon is saying, look, I know for a fact that Reuben, who sold me the field, went back to you and took care of everything with you. He compensated you as per the halachas. I know that for a fact. Well, if that's what he's claiming, afilu rishay nami, then the same halacha would apply to Reuben himself. When confronted by Chaim, the owner, where's my field? Well, I looked after it. I gave you the 25%. We took care of everything. So why are we relating this halacha to a new buyer, to Shimon? It would apply to Reuven as well. He claims as such to Chaim. Now, if Shimon has no clue, he's not claiming to know that Reuven, the fellow who sold the field to him, actually looked after Chaim properly and bought it off of Chaim. Well, so then, even if it's now in the hands of Shimon, he has no claim. Says the Gemara, Amar Rav Sheshes, Lo yilmud loika etoin. Truthfully, Shimon is not responding. He has no idea. All he knows is he got it from Reuben. The history, he has no idea. This is an example of the halacha tayanen l'yerish, the tayanen l'lekeach. Once a fellow sits on a field, uses a property for 3 full years without any complaints coming from anybody, then let's say he passes it on to his yerish, or in this case, to a lekeach, to a new owner. We advocate for him. We say, look, everything was quiet as can be. Apparently, everything was looked after properly. You can't come and, challenge his ownership. So that's when it comes to a new lekeach who has no clue what Reuven did with the field. That applies to a Yerush as well. I have no idea what my father did. But typically, but regarding the other person, in this case meaning Reuven, who claims to have looked after the field properly in terms of pacifying Chaim and paying him off properly, in that case, we don't just advocate for him, we ask him and see what he says. Itoin, if he responds unequivocally, look, I purchased the field from Chaim, I gave him his 25%, I took care of everything. Okay, he's safe. He lied, but if he doesn't have any claims, then, sitting in a field for 20 years doesn't mean ownership. And therefore, unless he actually claims as such, we don't accept it. And we don't consider him the owner. Continues the Gemara. So again, in some cases, one may purchase a land from a sekrikun, and it's a valid deal. Either in a case where the owner confirmed the deal, or he showed disinterest in repurchasing his land, or, as the Mishnah concludes, in the name of Rabbi Yehuda, they instituted the Yud Beis Chodesh formula. So 12 months have passed without any indication, any move on account of Chaim, the owner, that he intends on rebuying his field. Anybody can approach the sekrikun, buy it. But he must give a quarter, 25% of the sale price back to the owner. We're assuming the robber who got the field for nothing is going to sell it at a discount. So that much, that 25% that you've gained, be fair and compensate the owner. Taner Rabbanan. But in the following cases, Haba Machmas Chayv, let's say the guy grabbed the Jewish farm on account of a debt that the Jew owes the guy, or Machmas Amparis, or just for no good reason. Amparis stands for Ein Poiraya. Absolutely no reason, no justification for grabbing the field. Ein Boy Mishim Sikrika. In this case, even if 12 months have passed and Chaim hasn't made a move, it doesn't mean he's giving up on it. He'll pull him to court one day. He's in no rush. He'll take his time, but eventually he'll get his field back. And therefore, you have no right to buy the field from the guy, as opposed to the Sikrikim in our Mishnah, where he threatened the Yid and he forced him off the field. was more of a violent situation, so the Yid is fearful of the guy. In this case, we say, look, if 12 months have passed and you have made no move to retake that field, that's a right that you're just giving up on it. You're intimidated, and you're not going to ever try to get it back, and therefore at least let somebody else have a chance to rebuy that field. At this point, it would seem that the Brisa is saying that even in this Anpari situation, where he took it for no good reason, once 12 months pass, you're allowed to buy it. Asks the Gemara, you've just told me not so. You've told me that the whole idea of Sekrikin doesn't apply to this case of Anparis. Hachikamar, well, it's exactly what the Mishnah means to say. The Brisa is just going back to Sekrikin now. True, in these cases of Chayv and Anparis, we don't apply Sekrikin. There's no, window of opportunity. Let him take his time. Eventually he'll get his field back. You have no right to buy it. But Sekrikin Atzma, Hachikamar, Sekrikin Atzma, your classic Sekrikin case, where you threaten him off the field. In that case, you have to allow 12 months to pass for you to go ahead and approach the Sekrikin and buy it. Otherwise, the owner can reclaim it as his. Amrav Yosef, Naktinan in a paras bebubble. We have a Kabbalah. Then in Babel, we don't run into these, forced expropriations. They don't steal fields. What do you mean? We see all the time that the Goyim do that. He means to say, Ein din Anparas bebubble. If this Anparas situation would happen in Babel, we can't apply the halacha. Meaning, if somebody would buy the field off the guy, it's rightfully his. We don't take it away from him free of charge. As opposed to in other lands that we do that. My time, why is Babel different? Given the Ikabe Davar, since we have authorities, where they deliver the mail, the city hall, the mayor, every town has its authority. But also a couple, and the owner hasn't gone and complained, hasn't lodged a police complaint against this robber. Why don't you do that? Eima, that indicates to us that that perhaps he's giving up. Be Michael. His field is not worth the effort, and he's giving up on it. And therefore, we allow anybody to purchase it from the guy, and it's legally his. We have another story involving Gidel. Bar Ra'iloi, that was his name. Kabul Arab Taska, Baga. So Rashi explains in great detail the way their tax system worked. So Baga is a valley with a bunch of fields. So the Bnei Baga, these villagers, had an annual, land tax. That was the Taska. Taska sounds like tax. So it was an annual tax that they would have to pay to the government. And they would split it amongst themselves. Each person, each farmer got his portion of the tax. One of these farmers gets up one day and walks away. Who's going to pay the taxes pertaining to his portion, to his land? There's nobody there. So Gidel Bar Eloi accepted upon himself. He's going to farm the land, even though he's not really the owner, but he's going to pay the taxes and use the land. That was the agreement that he made with the villagers, with the Bnei Bag. Kabul Arab Taska, he took possession of a certain land on account of the taxes that he was going to pay, property taxes for that land. Agdim v'yov zuzit lashnin, he was very conscientious, and he paid ahead, 3 years ahead. A year later, suddenly the owner shows up, the owner of that field. Amrulei Salim, tell Mr. Gidel, look, I appreciate your efforts. Shata kamaisa, do you have us? Well, year number 1, which you had paid the taxes for, achlas, you've consumed the produce. Okay, you've gotten what you deserved. Gesundheit, fair deal. You paid, you earned. Hashta, but going forward, anon yavian, anon achlin. We're willing to pay the taxes. We're back. We're back in town. We'll pay the taxes and we'll consume the produce. You have no right to sit on the field. Who asked you to pay ahead? And apparently that was their system. You didn't get credit for paying ahead. The owner shows up, now it's his responsibility. So what's the halacha? Can Gidel reclaim his extra money? Also will come Rav Papa. So they brought the fight to Rav Papa. Savra l'michtav le'tirfav ne'bag. Rav Papa figured Gidel is in the right. He's going to get a document enabling him to collect some land on account of the debt owed to him. How can you do that? You're basically applying to him the din of Sikrikan. Right? In the Mishnah we learned that in some cases, a fellow buys from the Sikrikan, he earns the field. We don't make him lose the field, even except for the 25% that he has to pay back, but otherwise, it's a deal. He bought the field off the guy, it's his, here as well. He purchased the usage rights of this field for the next 3 years. And basically, Rav Huna was not happy with this comparison to Sikrikan. In Sikrikan, look, there's no alternative. It's either you buy it or you leave it. He bought it, it's his. But here, who asked him to pay 3 years ahead? Right? It's an annual tax. He was extra conscientious and he paid ahead. That's his issue. That doesn't give him rights in the fields for the next year. Ella Amar Rav Huna Bar Rav Yeshua. Rather, says Rav Huna, he loses. He took a risk. It's like putting a bag of coins on the horns of a deer who takes off never to be seen again. Who asked you to lay out this money? You took a risk. You took a gamble. And now the gamble worked against you. And the real owner, the rightful owner, has a right to get back his field. Zu Mishnah Rishona, Bezn Shalachrein Amru, Halakech Nasikrika, Noisin Labal Maravia. So as we learned in the Mishnah, ultimately the Bezn decided that if the owner is not coming to retake his field, you can buy it, but just give him some compensation. A quarter. We have 2 ways to understand the word quarter. Amar Rav, Ravia Bekarka, or Ravia B'mois. According to Rav, how much was this discount? 20%, a fifth. So, for instance, let's just keep it simple. You bought the field for $100. It's really worth $125. So you've gained $25. So that much should be given back to Chaim, the former owner. Ravia Bekarka. So basically it's a quarter of the amount that you paid for it. You paid $100. $25 of that is your discount. And you return that to the owner, either in karka form, piece of land worth that much, or Ravia B'mois, or in money form. All depends on how the owner wants to take it. Basically, according to Rav, we assumed it was a 20% discount. Ushmol Amar Shmuel disagrees. We assumed it was a 25% discount. So for instance, if he paid $100 for it, it was really worth 133 1/3. Right? That's why you got it for 100, which is a quarter less of its real value. And that much has to be returned to the owner. Shmuel Amar. Ravia Bekarka. You have to return a quarter of the actual field that you bought. You bought it for 100. It was really worth 133 1/3. Right? You have to give back 33 1/3. And if this field is worth 133 1/3, so how do you return 33 1/3? A quarter of this field is worth 33. And that's how much you give back to the owner. Shehin Shlish B'mois, which corresponds, right? It corresponds to a third of the amount that you paid for the field. You paid 100. 33 1/3 is a third of that. What's the machlokes about? As we explained, Mar Savar Nechi Rivia Zav. According to Shmuel, we assume you bought it for a quarter less than it's worth. Or Mar Savar Nechi Chumsha Zavin. He dropped a fifth. It was a 20% discount. Meisvei we have a kasha on Shmuel. Zu Mishnah Rishona. So again, we go back to the idea of Sikrikun. There was the former version of things, Bezin Shachareim Amru, but ultimately they decided that Kechman Sikrikun, you buy from the Sikrikun, Oisin Balam Ravia, you can buy it, but you have to give him back a quarter. Yad Balam El Yoina, and of course the owner has the right to choose which way he wants to be compensated. Ratzu Bekarka Noitlin, Ratzu B'mois Noitlin. If they want to take a piece of land, that works. If they want to accept money, money works. A Masai. When do we allow anybody to buy from the Sikrikun? When the owner has no ability to buy his field. But if the owner wants to buy his field back, they have first rights. However, Rabbi established his bezdin, they took account, they established the halacha, once 12 months pass in the hands of Sikrikun, and the owner hasn't made a move, anybody can come buy it. But once again, we apply the 25% formula, however, the fellow has to compensate the owner by giving him revia, a quarter of the purchase price, either by giving it through karka, revia b'karka, or revia, we could give that same amount b'mois using money. This sounds like Rav. You bought it for $100. You have to return $25. Apparently, because you got it at a 20% discount. You paid $100 instead of $125. Amar Rav Ashi. That's not a kasha on Shmuel. Kintanya ahi la'achar shebo mois liyadeh. When the Mishnah says that you return a quarter, it means a quarter of the total amount. So basically, according to Shmuel, he bought it for $100. You have to return 33 1/3. After you give back the 33 1/3, back to the owner, that amount, 33 1/3, amounts to a quarter of the total amount. If you add the purchase price of $100 to this amount of 33 1/3 that was returned to the owner, so we have a total of 133 1/3, and 33 1/3 is a quarter of the total amount. So if you combine the amount that he gave to the guy and the amount that he gave back to the owner, so this amount of 33 is really a third of the total amount. So in effect, it can work out very well according to Shmuel as well. Shmuel, who held that you have to return 33 1/3, and again the reason was because we assumed the 100 that you paid was at a 25% discount, with the real value being 133 1/3, and that corresponds to the Brisa as well. Amar Rav, referring back to Rebbe's takana. Rebbe sat his bezdin down, and they concluded that we have to apply the 12-month rule. Ano havoi b'minyan de Rebbe. So Rav says, I was there when they made this psak. They concluded, they took this vote, they took this count in the bezdin of Rebbe. Uminoi didi monoberation. Actually, I was the first one they asked. They asked my opinion first. And Rebbe wasn't the most important, or the least important in the bezdin. And Rashi has one pshat that he was the youngest, he was the least prominent member of the bezdin. In any case, they started the count from me. Really? Now we have a Mishnah. When it comes to financial matters in a bezdin, when it comes to a question of tumah v'tahara, we start from the most prominent member of the bezdin. But when it comes to capital questions, capital punishment, judgments, then we focus, we start from the tzad, which Rashi explains is not the most prominent member or the least prominent member. What's the difference? Rashi explains when it comes to dinei nefashos, if they would start with the Av Bezdin and hear his opinion first, nobody would dare challenge him. It's uncomfortable. It's not respectful, perhaps. They don't feel comfortable challenging him, and then you're running into issues because when it comes to dinei nefashos, you have to try to vie for schus, to find him innocent. Therefore, when it comes to dinei nefashos, we're careful not to listen to the opinion of the most prominent member first. But when it comes to other halachas, we don't hesitate to do that. We have no problem going to the Reish Bezdin. So the question is, when it came to this halacha of Sikrikun, which doesn't qualify as dinei nefashos, why did they start from Rav as opposed to Rebbe, who presumably was the biggest one there? Amar Rabba, Braid Rabba, Vitema, some say Rav Hillel, Rav Alas, Shani Minyana de Rebbe. In Rebbe's Bezdin, it was totally different. The Kula Minyonayu, every time they took count, Minatzad have a Maschilim, they would do it this way. They would go to the younger ones. And Tosfos says it was an expression of anova, of humility on account of Rebbe. So that's why Rav was the first one approached for his opinion. Okay, in summation, we started with some references to the Bnei Tzion, to the Yofi of Bnei Tzion. We had the story of Rabbi Shua ben Chananya, who ransomed this boy who turned out to be a Moreh Hara. He was able to appreciate his potential. That's why he made a great effort to get him out. We had the story of the Benoyu Bitoy of Rabbi Shmuel Kohen Gadol. We had the story of this gangster manipulator who brought about the Gzar Din on the Churban. And we discussed the halachas v'sekrikan. Typically, we let the owner rebuy his field, but in some cases, even a stranger can buy the field from a sekrikan. If the owner confirms it, if the owner is disinterested, or if 12 months have passed and there's no move on account of the owner, anybody can approach the sekrikan, buy it off. But be fair to the owner, give him what you gained. We have Rav Shita, 20% discount, and Shmuel Shita, it requires a compensation of 25% as per your gain. And we learned about the Anova of Rebbe who instituted that takana. All the best to you and Atzlacha Rabbah.